Very well. What are the teams this time?
That's actually, dang. They had it in the, let me see. Leftovers versus BLF.
Leftovers versus BLF?
BLF,
Okay.
BLFJ, I think, actually. Some of these
BLFJ.
names are pretty crazy, so.
Okay. Anyway. So,
First ban going out from on Irelia and seeing another ban from Poppy. I guess these teams did their research on who they were facing, although I don't have any familiarity with anyone particularly playing either of them champions. But, you know, targeted bans like this can also be targeted to themselves and who they don't want playing against them.
it's a very true fact, and I believe that in this case, that would be the most likely of reasons. Poppy is a very underplayed champion, so I don't think that there's much fear of her being brought out right now.
No surprise, Sejuani being the second ban, one of the highest ban rates in the game right now, so not overall, once again, not a big surprise at all. Janna, for a surprise, being banned actually out from the red team on Dervalanana there. Talon being banned out once again here for the first time. I'm just throwing words out, I guess. Talon being banned by the blue team. You know, so many targeted bans here for odd reasons. Janna would be an interesting ban just for the fact that she's commonly picked as a safe disengager, and if they wanted that to be, if that was their actual target with that, well, they just kind of failed because Gragas is being locked in here with that first pick. So we'll have to see how the rest of this pick and ban phase
Gragas is a great
out.
pick to replace Janna. He has a lot of disengage, but he also has a lot of engage, much like Janna does. And it looks like the Nautilus will be locked in as support for the purple-red team, and possibly an Alistar top lane. Nautilus support Alistar top lane for red team, and we're back on the blue team with their second and third picks.
Very interesting, very strong, and incredibly tanky with those two picks alone on the red team.
That would be a Gragas top lane also. Will not be support or jungle. It is a top lane Gragas.
Alright, I'm going to update the stream title really quickly. I believe this is, let me check. This is a round 2 match.
Okay. I'm going to quickly open up and uninstall XSplit. You take over casting for a little bit.
Alrighty. Cassiopeia being, no, actually not even Cassiopeia anymore. Arhi being hovered in for the mid lane here, as mid and bot lane have not been chosen at all by the red team. Kind of a strategic and interesting way, although they may not have done that intentionally. But we're seeing it, Shyvanna with the smite being locked in for the top lane, which is an incredibly powerful laning phase. Against an Alistar, that will be actually very interesting to see, but I have to feel like that's very one-sided at the moment to that Shyvanna, incredibly so for the early portions of the game. Still waiting on this. Actually, nope, there we go. Zed immediately being locked in for the mid lane against that Arhi. Seeing some trolley summoner spells here with...
yeah, I was about to say, what happened to the summoner spells? That's a bit odd.
And we're seeing Jarvan being hovered all over by Swole Father for the jungle pick. That would be a very strong pick. I don't know how I feel about that for the rest of their team, because he could ult, and then basically if Gragas ulted in combination, or, you know, there could be a lot of moving variables here, basically, but it would be interesting. He's a very strong pick, no less, and we're actually seeing him switch to the Rek'Sai, which I think that's a good idea as well. A very strong, prominent jungler. That vision from the Tremor vision helps an incredible amount, even if you don't have anything.
We'll be seeing a Zed mid, it seems. Amazing pick, very strong against Arhi actually, because of his ability to dodge charm and land that burst damage quickly and then get out. A very high mobility champion. I'm expecting to see a lot of roams out of him if he does get ahead. Troll summoner spells coming out from Jinx. I think this might actually be a glitch in the spectator system right now.
No, I don't. That would be actually pretty funny, but I'm pretty positive they're doing that. We'll find out once we get into the game. But Jinx being locked in by PowpowxFishbones. Let's think about that. Yeah. No ADC picked from the Bread team right now, as Maokai is locked in on FadedStreamer. Lucian being hovered over by Ray Jones. That would be a fairly strong pick to contest the laning phase portion with easily harassed from his Q. Being locked in for sure right now and traded actually to Im Kamina. I'm seeing the swaps go around from Gragas and Maokai. And actually not even a top lane Shyvanna like I was suggesting moments ago, or so it seems. The smite being switched out from Soul of Jacobeh on Maokai to a teleport.
Definitely, if anything, an interesting pick and ban phase. I think this game is going to be a very tough fight with a lot of advantages going both ways.
I hope these summoner spells are legit. Those guys know how to live if they went through with these summoner spells. Join a tournament? Nah, dude. Just.
Guys, you want to take this tourney seriously? Nah, man. It does seem that Maokai will be going to the top lane, and we see the summoner spells ever so slowly changing back to normal.
There we go. Knew I wasn't seeing things. Alright. So, let's
teleport Maokai in the top lane.
We are seeing the teleport. I mean, Smite. That's very interesting, actually. I would rather have seen the Shyvanna top lane personally, but Maokai is still a prevalent, strong top lane pick in the current meta. So, for the rest of the teams here, we're seeing that support Gragas for the bot lane, as a matter of fact. Somewhat rare. It was a common pick for a short moment in time, and I still think it's a pretty strong pick overall. Interesting to go against. I wonder if they were picking that thinking it was not going to be. Actually, they were the first pick, so they really couldn't strategize against that. But maybe they played against it as they saw the rest of the picks going down. The Nautilus support, another pretty, unconventional, but has recently become a common pick. Going against them, so that'll be interesting to say the least. They both have a lot of aggression. Nautilus obviously has a lot more CC than the Gragas, especially pre-6, but if they do have disengage with that body slam from Gragas, so during the laning phase, I think it'll be somewhat interesting seeing how the kills fan out.
I think that mid lane is going to be a very tough fought lane, because those two mid laners are the champions. They can be in a stalemate the entire game if it so happens.
All right. Well, this will be an interesting game. I think a very good game, to say the least. Both teams are very well built. As far as composition goes, it's hard to say who will win. Blue team is definitely incredibly tanky with a Shyvanna, Gragas, and Maokai pick, and a lot of great amounts of damage from the Arhi and the Jinx. Both very strong lane damage choices for their lane. Maokai, I can only suggest he's going to build tanky. If he doesn't, that will be interesting, and that'll be nice to see. But definitely not the most optimal and common decision.
Red team opted in turn for a tanky support and top laner with a semi-tank jungler, basically a bruiser build, I would think, with two very squishy mid laners. They don't have a lot of lockdown and lockdown CC, but they do have a damage advantage, and I want to see how that comes into play during the team fights, because I think it could make a big advantage.
Certainly so. For these mid lanes, speaking of them again, Arhi is rolling the barrier as opposed to Zed rolling the ignite. Zed is going to have some pretty easy burst onto her overall, because her passive with her sustain is going to help somewhat through the laning phase, but when it comes down to the trades and when the fights start to go down, when the duels start going and rolling here, Zed, that's really not going to be any benefit to her, and Zed's just going to be bursting her to death. And even if she does try to get some sustain out of her passive, he will have that ignite readily active.
Yes, there's also the fact that I think that barrier is being taken primarily to avoid the massive amount of dual damage that could come out from Zed.
We'll have to see. It could I feel like it's going to go two ways. Either she's going to blow it when he initiates when she knows damage is coming, or she's going to try to save it to escape and then use it before the ultimate kills her.
Either way, it's going to really depend on how much damage Zed can get down during the time his ulti is applied.
Very much so, and I feel overall though, even so, it's just I feel like this is going to be into Zed's favor through the lane, especially when the cooldown is gone.
Anyway, as we are getting into the rift, we see, I'm going to run down the teams for you. We have Maokai, for leftovers, we have Maokai in the top lane, Arhi in the Shyvanna in the jungle, Arhi in the mid lane, Jinx as ADC, and Gragas as support. These are played by Swole of Jacobeh, BoysLikeGrills, LP Jefftheretard, PowpowxFishbones, and FadedStreamer. While on the enemy team, we have Alistar in the top lane, Rek'Sai in the jungle, Zed in the mid lane, Lucian on ADC, and Nautilus as support, played by Lil Raw Saint, Swole Father, Ray Jones, Im Kamina, and Dervalanana. What do you think is going to be the outcome of this game? Oh, we need a straw poll.
That is true. I have that ready. Alright, the music has stopped. Let me switch up these support. Oh, there's a pause already.
I'm not even into the game yet.
I wish you could move the chat, but apparently it doesn't want to let me. Well, apparently, quote-unquote, someone is pissing. So, bathroom break, guys. It happens.
I am still in loading screen.
I'd consider that a valid reason to pause. That's fine.
I think I'm going to restart my league and see if it works this time.
Alrighty. Now, there we go. Game is starting. And let's see how this goes. We will be dropping a straw poll right into the Twitch chat any moment now. If you would like to vote, please do so and tell us who you think is going to win.
Quick reminder also, this is a charity stream, so if you want to, you can go down to the links in our bottom side of the channel and donate to our Extra Life charity. If you cannot do that, because we understand not everybody has the money to spend, you can join our team, spread the word, and help us raise money. We're almost at our goal of $1,000. I think we're about a dozen away.
Yes, and we're seeing red team making a full team movement invade here. No words from blue team, although they're appearing they want to invade as well. Probably being a little confused by the fact that they're not seeing anyone guarding that blue buff. Usually you see a bot lane or someone over there. Ping's going down, actually suggesting that they might be feeling danger towards this red buff as they see the sapling go explode.
They will be putting the enemy red buff onto Maokai, which I feel is a very strong decision, but at the same time, the red buff will be taken away from Shyvanna, so no matter what, Rek'Sai will be getting that buff. Oh, maybe not. They pull out of the enemy jungle.
Let's see if they can make it back in time.
The red buff.
Ping's going down all over. Blue team, actually, yeah, getting spotted out by that ward right here in this bush before the dragon.
Alistar may actually get caught out during this rotation.
Hopefully not. That'll be very unfortunate. The sapling does explode. There's two of them left. They are going to jump on the red buff. He knows they're likely going to... Now the sapling is going down. He's going to interfere and scare them away.
He saves the red buff. Good guy, Alistar. So we will see the lanes returning to normal. I think the blue team... No. The red team will not get the timer on this Shyvanna red buff. I'm a bit confused as to why they pulled out of the jungle when they could have stolen it. But, you know, it's all up to them. We can't communicate with them, so... See how it plays out. Swole fighter getting dropped very low by the blue buff, but he manages to take it out.
Seeing both supports starting with the Targon is going to be a pretty squishy lane, to say the least.
Some
You know, a lot
early
of
aggression in the mid lane here, I think, as Shyvanna rest for a gank, but the charm misses, and so it's called off.
bottom level 2 hitting. Hook going down onto Gragas. Exhaust actually being casted onto Jinx. Lucian is very low on health. He's being very close to this Jinx. Too low.
Shyvanna going onto Rek'Sai in his own jungle. Rek'Sai forced to flash under tower, and Shyvanna will not get the kill, but forced the flash out of Rek'Sai. She took a tower shot for her troubles, but will not lose anything more.
Shyvanna running down to the Gromp camp, checking for what she can invade for. Going to take his wolves now as well.
I am going to straighten out my
good harass from the Lucian. Jinx is very low on health right now. If Nautilus can land one hook right now, this is an easy first blood.
Rek'Sai grabs his Stalker's Blade, using that back to his advantage, despite the fact that he...
Very nice hook coming down from the Nautilus, forcing the Jinx flash and Summoner Spell heal. Chomper's going down, but not going to land on any of them. But Gragas is going in onto the Nautilus, forcing his flash. One more auto attack, and Lucian's dead. Looks like Shyvanna's trying to get in range to cast her E, but it's not even going to get in range, and Lucian lives with roughly 10 health.
Some very hard aggression early into the moments of this game, with a lot of kills almost going down, but not quite. So far, I've only seen the blue team be able to get this
Lucian
close,
being
Lucian
very...
goes down to
Wow.
a stray rocket from Jinx. First blood goes to blue team.
That's a very questionable decision. I don't know what he was thinking there, actually. Easy kill for first blood there on Jinx, and that's going to be something he's going to have to walk back to the lane going against, as he's already being out-farmed on top of that fact.
Zed seems to hold advantage in the mid lane currently, which surprising by the fact that he is a melee champion against Arhi with a charm and her Q. We may see aggression going into the top lane as Rek'Sai comes around for a gank onto Maokai.
Maokai is out of mana right now, and he does not have flash. He has Smite Ignite, so he can't use anything right now. He doesn't have anything to use his Smite for either. We're seeing Shyvanna rotating up, however, trying to come and support him, but now she's getting a little bit of a chase, and we see them both get away.
Mid laners were getting ready for a possibility to have to rotate in to try and help their team. Very close call onto Maokai. A lot of close calls this game, and we're only 5 minutes in.
Zed about halfway to level 6, and pretty soon, roughly on the next wave, we should see him get level 6, and I'm hoping we're going to see a very quick initiation as soon as that happens.
Bot lane is suffering. Jinx already ahead by 800 gold or so, which early in the game is a lot, but late game it will not be that big of a deal.
She is returning to lane with a BF sword fully built right now, as Lucian actually only decided only had the money rather to go back to lane with a long sword, so the advantage is pretty massively shown right there. And boots, yes, good call. Good note. We're seeing Lucian going in for some decent damage. He's actually gonna not get hit with the chompers fight disengaging there, but actually reasonable amounts of damage from that passive. Still, you can actually trade for things. Mid lane, we're seeing that Ignite finally taking that Arhi down exactly like I was saying. The next wave was going to give him the ultimate, and he immediately went in on him.
Shyvanna being found out inside Rek'Sai's jungle. Rek'Sai on very low HP. Shyvanna turns back around. Gragas,
very nice body slam.
Body slam into the enemy team.
Sure, but Zed rotates around. Jinx finally pulling up from bot lane, but way too late, and 2 kills, or 1 for 1 in that trade.
2 kills onto Zed in the last minute. This could spell disaster for leftovers if he keeps up this aggression and gain. I need to turn off my chat. I don't need to see that.
both members of the red team, the Maokai and the Shyvanna, picking up their Skirmisher Saber for their jungle item. Kind of interesting that the Maokai would rush into that immediately. He doesn't really get much benefit out of it overall. And I feel like it would be
coming down to the dragon. This looks like it will be an early dragon pick for the blue team, which could make up for a lot of what just happened with Zed.
At the moment, it seems like it's going to be uncontested, no wards whatsoever. Blue team has a pink ward even above in that bush there, and first dragon going to blue team.
Completely uncontested. Very impressive time to call. They knew exactly where the enemies were and exactly what they could do. And they got that dragon uncontested with no timer for the red team.
I think one of the bigger factors into this right now is, even though you can see that 3 members of the red team right now have their wards in their inventory, none of them were actually using them.
I don't think that they would have suspected them to go for that. While
Zed going in on the mid lane under the tower, going to dodge some of the damage from Ahri's ultimate, being at a distance and teleporting back to where they originally started.
Zed ever so slowly just driving Ahri out of lane over and over. She has missed so much farm. She's actually behind by 30 farm at this point. He is opening up a huge lead for himself in the mid lane, and he even will counter jungle the enemy Shyvanna.
This top lane above, compared to most lanes we've seen so far, is really, it's more wet noodle-ish than I think I've ever seen, because basically Alistar keeps spamming his heal, but it's constantly giving Maokai stacks for him to use his auto attack for the heal from his passive, and both equally just keep sustaining huge amounts of health.
And Alistar with the sustain, due to the fact that he has, what is it called? Catalyst the Protector, which means every level he's regaining more and more health.
Bot lane turret going to go down pretty early on here, barely reaching 10 minutes right now. I actually didn't quite expect that, but because of that, we're going to be probably seeing a lot more rotations moving here and a lot more objective control against the red team, since they're going to be having to push their lane down still.
Lucian tried to push into the turret even a little bit there, capitalize on the fact that they had to go and distract. And wow, you are definitely right. This is a wet noodle fight in the top lane.
They both have potions, or they did have potions anyways. Alistar is completely out at the moment. Maybe that'll be why Maokai might actually win a trade or come out on top, but we're definitely not going to be seeing any deaths anytime soon. And I think that's respectful for the fact that mid lane, Zed's going to ulti onto Ahri. She's going to actually dash under tower. He's not going to die or be anywhere near death as he just ults back.
And the blue buff will go over to Ahri. Hopefully it doesn't get transferred to Zed. If she has it, this will be a huge advantage to her, meaning she can spam these skills that are outside of Zed's range. And it will probably help her in this lane, as we see Jinx join the mid laner for temporary, just one auto attack.
Jinx and Gragas trying to rotate the mid lane, maybe get some advantage, but not going to really do anything, not trying to push the mid lane down yet. At this point in time, if they were to do that, they'd pretty much be sacrificing Zed's advantage, because he can literally farm kills, farm in general. He has all the advantage. This is his lane to have. And if they were to take that tower down and make movements for the teamfights to rush, it would not end very well in a positive and optimal direction.
Yeah. Blue team has to play this very methodically, because there's a lot of things that they can do, but if they do those things, it could cost them a lot. For example, if they opened up any of the lanes, like top or mid lane, then the top or mid laner could easily just start to roam and absolutely punish any lane they wanted to.
looking at the items, Zed actually just backed, or on his last back, he picked up the Bilgewater Cutlass. Very good item. He's going to be building for that Bork. Going to be a lot of burst damage. And as far as the ADCs go, Jinx still pressing her advantage. 30 CS up and still has that 1 kill from the first blood. With the BF Sword Pickaxe and Cloak of Agility over Lucian's simple Pickaxe and Longsword. You can expect that Lucian is going to be putting that longsword more than likely to a Vampiric Scepter at some point in time, but I'm not really sure what he's going to be rushing into with these mix of items right now. Nautilus hitting a good hook onto the Gragas as Rek'Sai was sitting in the bush waiting for the gank. Nautilus's ultimate does go down, biding them a little time to try to follow up, but not going to be enough. Gragas trying to throw the ultimate down, seeing if he can knock someone back into tower, but not quite close enough.
Wow. I know we said top was a wet noodle fight, but, you know, this is definitely a wet noodle fight down in the bot lane. While there is a lot of damage going into every attack and assault they're making, there is not much coming out of it.
Well, I mean, when you're in a tank meta, I guess every fight is a wet noodle fight. So
Shyvanna taking the Scuttlebug. And that damage on the Arhi
from Zed onto Arhi. She is going to have her barrier soon, and Zed does have his ultimate at the moment, but she is opting to back very wisely.
Zed may be caught out by the enemy team here. It really depends on how he's going to play this. But no, they will back off and opt for the fight against
Shyvanna ulting in onto the Nautilus as the teleport comes down from Maokai. Actually, the teleport following with Alistar, actually. Zed flashing past the enemy team, going straight for that Jinx, living through the exhaust.
Zed onto the chompers as he lands on top of her. That was an excellent play that resulted in Zed's almost guaranteed death, but it will hand over to the dragon to the red team.
Alistar missing the missing the pulverize, but headbutting that Maokai back. The fight is not over yet, even though Maokai is very low on health, and most of the red team are slowly going down here. At the rate it's going, red team is definitely going to lose this fight. We see Rek'Sai flash over the wall, dodging the orb from Arhi, but the one auto attack, and Arhi is going to pop her ult in the end. She does get the kill on Nautilus with the charm as well, even though we see that Jinx ult flying straight past. Would not have hit, but good shot.
Dragon will go to the blue team. Red team seem to overstay their welcome, which is a shame because they almost had that.
The fight was very close. Red team kind of unwisely chose to still the Alistar just decided to fight in that tri-brush for partly no reason at all, while there was still 4 of them alive or 3 of them alive, and you know what seemed to happen was red team just kind of tried supporting their teammate and just made the bad decision of, you know, following a bad call, and
themselves up. They focused on the different targets.
They should have just honestly backed out, or at least initiated on a safer positioning instead of the tri-brush, where they didn't have any vision. The Alistar pretty much just messed up. But
Chain's only as strong as its weakest link, and the team fight's only as strong as the lowest health member. If I'm being completely honest, if you're gonna lose one of your teammates really early into a team fight, you're gonna lose that team fight more than likely, because you just lost basically either CC or damage.
seeing Zed actually finishing a Yomo's Ghost Blade for his first item instead of the Bork. Pretty strong, and I think that's definitely a more optimal decision, but we'll have to see if he's going to be picking out any more kills or actually being able to delete the Arhi, because we've seen a lot of attempted assassinations here, but none that actually succeeded recently.
Shyvanna into the bot lane, but she will take more punishment than she dishes out in this case, dropping her to half HP.
Very true, and we're seeing Zed and Rek'Sai roaming down bot lane, but deciding to back away as they realize she's coming up this direction. Zed sitting on a ward and taking that
there's
out.
a ward and clears it out of his bottom side bush.
Clearing out one, but there's still another down there. May not know it, but yep.
Looks like the red team more than likely will go aggressive on the Gragas, but no, they will not, as he is protected by the minion wave. Once again, let's look at the top wet noodle fight in the top lane as they're brawling. Oh, Maokai using his ulti, getting knocked away by the headbutt.
He's wasting a little bit too much mana by just continuously letting that go. That was quite a bit of mana just watching that.
Is not the greatest use of his mana in this case, as Alistar still has most of his, and the wet noodle fight commences once again. Alistar just healing back all of the damage taken by that Maokai. And once again, the blue buff will go over to Arhi, giving her that mana regen and cooldown for the second time this game, I believe. But blue buff also went over to Zed, giving him not only cooldowns, but energy regen.
On that last back, we see Maokai actually picking up the Cinder Hulk Skirmisher Saber upgrade, and actually his Catalyst the Protector as well. If he's going to go for a Rod of Ages, it's not necessarily a bad item to have, but it won't really benefit him in these later team fights. Mid lane, we're seeing
going in on Arhi. He lands all of his skill shots, but he will not be able to get.
See Alistar roaming over, but he's getting chased down by a Shyvanna. It may not seem like didn't seem like he really realized it or cared that he was taking so much damage.
Arhi, with that final Q from Zed, was dropped down to 5 HP. What a lucky escape.
Dervalanana not having anything to do with this Gragas, just taking him out, saying, "You get out of this river. You're not a scuba diver, and get out. This is my territory under the sea."
Down goes the mid lane tower. That Jinx attack speed absolutely demolishes turrets.
Very much so. Blue team just wandering around at this point now after they take that tower. No one in sight really. Nautilus clearing a ward out as he just saw them place it.
Dragon is now up in 2 minutes and Baron in 25 or so. I feel actually at this point that the blue team could go for a Baron this early with the advantages that they have right now.
It would be questionable. There's a lot of they'd be bargaining with a lot of damage at this point. Lucian, while he may not be very incredibly strong, he's definitely gonna be scaling. If we look at like the gold value right now, he has 800 gold. He should have enough to finish his Infinity Edge with that next back, and obviously Zed is still, while he hasn't gotten his assassination level up to the level of destroying the Arhi, even though it keeps getting incredibly close, he still has a lot of damage and poses a humongous threat to many members of the enemy team.
Wet noodle fight commencing again in the top lane. This time it seems as though Maokai is coming out ahead. Alistar tanking so many minions. I don't think the heal will save him. I think this could be a kill onto Alistar.
I'm wondering why we're not seeing the headbutt back into the tower at this point. I think he just did that. There we go. Finally, he might have enough time to get pulverized up as well, but not quite. Alistar definitely having the mana and more consistent heal in this case, so we're probably going to see him try to go for a kill, but I think they both know in the back of their minds that no one's killing anyone right now.
Not unless Maokai gets knocked into that turret again.
Yeah. Blue team pushing down the mid lane right now. 3 members. A lot of good damage going on to Jinx before the Zed ultimate even activates, but great chompers actually stopping the Zed before he can continue to deal damage to her. We see here the the Nautilus ult going on to the Jinx as Alistar comes forward and tries to get some good damage in, popping his ultimate as well, getting incredibly low. Arhi flashing forward to try to auto attack him for the kill, but deciding to throw her orb out instead. And we're seeing
Rek'Sai flashing and knocking up Arhi. Will the red buff? The red buff takes her down as Shyvanna limps away from the fight. Cinder Hulk proccing the enemies and almost killing Shyvanna for a second time.
Zed taking that mid lane with no effort
chasing
whatsoever.
Down onto Shyvanna. Can he land the hook? No.
A little too close to that wall.
This will be turret number 2 for the red team.
I'm surprised Gragas isn't going. Gragas' ult is down right now. He's not going to be able to do much about this, but he does scare them away. They did get a huge amount of damage on that, no less, and that is going to be greatly to their benefit in the pressure of blue team needing to defend that mid tower. Red team opting to get the dragon now, as well as it just came up during that mid lane fight actually, and first dragon for them.
Very impressive play from the red team, closing down that gold gap the blue team had for a little while there. And we are back to a very, very close game. Ever notice how Alistar runs when he's not moving very fast?
Yeah. Blue team rotating around to this Baron pit, actually, looking like they might just be looking for picks and trying to prepare for the Baron, actually, more than anything else. Zap going down onto Alistar, not really going to be doing much with that trade, as they're just clearing out as much as they can.
I think blue team wants a fight. If they get a fight, then they will either push it into a tower, maybe two, or a Baron, and that is not good for the red team. It could very well spell disaster.
Alistar and Nautilus, and the red team split between two sides here. The tanks on the left and the rest on the right here. Blue team just backing away regardless. Shyvanna getting hooked by Nautilus, and Rek'Sai deciding to go in, knocking up only the Maokai. Not going to be a very good initiation there. He goes down very quickly. But Alistar following suit with the Maokai is a very strong frontline as Zed ults straight onto Jinx and gets the kill. Shyvanna taking huge amounts of damage and actually going to get hit with hook again and destroyed.
Arhi immediately knocked out of the park. She was knocked so far. She ulted and headbutted and got headbutted. And wow, if I've ever seen a home run with a champion, I'm going to call that a home run.
That fight definitely highlights the wow, incredibly good headbutt, but Pulverize misses as she gets charmed in the process of that. Alistar going down to the final hit from the turret before they could actually take it down.
And that is a 1 for 3 overall in that fight, as Zed looks to take the enemy blue buff.
I want to say what that team fight really highlighted about red team's composition in general is just how much control they have in team fights between that Alistar and that Nautilus. They have so much to defend, both the Zed and basically anyone who even comes near them. And Zed rotating to the top lane after taking Shyvanna's blue and just one-hitting that tower. He took it all. He took it all. It was just one auto attack. He took the whole tower. Yeah.
One tower, one auto attack.
Let's see. The Black Cleaver being picked up by Rek'Sai, even though she does have the Cinder Hulk upgrade from the man, my memory is just dropping today, I guess. Ranger's Trailblazer. So pretty good damaging item. That'll be fairly good for their team. You know, I think it's a reasonably good pickup just because of how tanky the blue team is. It'll be a great item that's synergized with the Zed, as it looks like he's going to approach a Last Whisper next. So that'll be pretty much the maximum amount of armor penetration that the red team will be able to have, or at least on the Zed, for this early into the game.
If you switch to red team Fog of War, you can see they actually have much less coverage than the blue team overall currently in the game, and I think that what they're doing right now is trying to recover or take away what the blue team has. But it's a very even game in most cases right now.
Absolutely. Gold values 2k gold difference right now with one more tower. Not an extreme amount for 26 minutes into the game. Overall, you could say that the farm difference alone could almost make that. We're definitely seeing red team with the higher farm amount overall, except for the Jinx. Zed popping his Ghost Blade, dodging the charm, and Arhi is still trying to go on the aggress here. Nautilus letting a fantastic ultimate, landing on 3 of them towards the Jinx. Zed actually ulting onto the Arhi as she dashes away for the final time, popping her flash. Seeing so much going on here. Rek'Sai being caught in front of 4 members of the enemy team as Jinx gets a double kill. Nautilus is defenseless here. Triple kill going down from Jinx as Shyvanna was taking out the rest of the team and distracting them. Alistar is still alive, and that ultimate pops. He's keeping him quite healthy, but he's going to go down for Jinx with the quadra kill. I think that was an unofficial quadra.
Actually, I think 2 of those kills were not Jinx. I think she only got a triple.
She just killed the Alistar in the end there.
She? But did she get 2 kills before that?
Yeah, she had a triple.
So they will turn it into a Baron and a turret.
Oh, negative. My bad. She Arhi killed the Nautilus. In fact, that was very persuading. But they are starting on this Baron. Rek'Sai's ultimate. You heard the screech. It is going down. Red team realizes they are doing this. They had to clear their wards out to prepare for this. Zed roaming in, trying to just get as much damage as he can, but he runs right into a charm as Jinx is getting lots of great damage onto all of them. Rek'Sai takes the Baron from them as Nautilus is the last remaining team member alive here. Lucian roaming around, but a little too late, not enough. As the blue team is
the Baron and denying it to blue team, they only have it on Alistar and Lucian. Note, these are two very key damage sources for the red team. But having it on two people is not very good considering what they could have had if they let Rek'Sai go in solo.
So on this last back, we've actually just seen Gragas upgrading his chain vest into a Sunfire cape, which is interesting when you look at the fact that they've got two Cinder Hulks on their team as well. So the amount of just general magic damage AoE there is pretty insane.
By the way, if you couldn't hear it, Jinx bought an Elixir of Wrath already. And due to that Zed, she is also running a QSS, maximizing the living potential of herself and minimizing the kill potential of the enemy Zed. It's a very good pickup, and I think that she will most likely take it into Mercurial Scimitar.
Absolutely. An incredibly wise decision, pretty obvious in most cases, but, you know, some lower rankings don't know that you're supposed to do it. We'll see then. I wonder if Zed's going to be switching his focus over to that Arhi instead, because they both have high amounts of damage.
Zhonya's on Arhi easily cuts down on whatever Zed can do by, instead of cleansing it, just completely negating the damage and any damage that he could have done while she was in Zhonya's.
Well, regardless, no less, he should be able to get a huge amount of damage onto the Jinx, even if she does Quicksilver Stash that ultimate.
We have a little bit of downtime, guys. I'd like to remind you that at 1K followers, we will be doing a $20 RP card giveaway, which means we will be giving away two $10 RP cards. So if you haven't, make sure to follow
the ult going down onto Jinx from Nautilus. The whole team trying to follow up. A good knock-up from Rek'Sai, getting straight onto her. She's going to be able to stay on him. Zed going to try to ult onto the Arhi, but she's going to pop her Zhonya's to absorb the damage. Zed teleporting back to get away from the fight. Rek'Sai going to be caught out by the four members of the blue team right here. Very big disconnection and coordination and paths here. Alistar still remaining at full health.
Jacob, I didn't notice for a second there, but Zed actually misclicked and he ulted onto Gragas. In that fight. So that was a lot of damage missing from what could have possibly been a kill onto Arhi.
That's very true, actually. Fight. Still a very close fight. That was very well done overall for Red Team. The follow-up from the Rek'Sai comboing with that Nautilus knockup from his ultimate was actually very impressive.
And in stream chat, we have Weedial, who I believe is actually a member of the Red Team that could not play at the beginning of this game.
It was after that. One of the teams, yeah, I think you might be right, potentially there as well. How's it going, man? Bring the hype.
I think that I'm going to say this just purely based off of it. We have a very slow Alistar build coming out.
Yeah, we're seeing that. Actually, wait. Oh, there we go. Swapped his items a little bit there.
There we go. It's very interesting. I was not expecting to see the Alistar top anytime soon. I know one person in the tourney said they were going to bring it out, but I was not expecting it during one of the games today. Keep saying these the builds that people are taking right now are very interesting to me. Very situational, especially in terms of Jinx's build. It's extremely situational. I think against any other mid laner, she would have gone for a completely different build path and not gotten the QSS.
Absolutely true, but that's what you got to do. And acknowledging and realizing that you need something and you need that protection so you can't get focused, like that you have to have your presence in the team fights this early on, and rushing for that is a better factor, even if it's something you're forced to do. Alistar getting hit with the charm, but he's going to use his ult to pop out and break that. Shyvanna ulting forward to the rest of the team, but not really going to be getting much damage. She's taking a lot of damage from the Colin going down from Lucian. Alistar's ultimate is worn off by now. He's taking so much damage from the 4 enemy team members. Now we see 5 members of the enemy team roaming up into red team's base, slowly but slowly, waiting for these minions right now.
You know what I actually learned about cleanse and QSS recently? If you cleanse or QSS a Malzahar ulti, it only stops you from being immobile. The damage will still go through.
Cleanse doesn't stop suppression.
Yeah, it just stops you from being immobile. It's a very interesting factor.
The Dragon coming up in 1 minute along with the Baron. Blue team just hovering around. Maybe they didn't get the timer on it the last time, but they're pretty sure it's kind of coming up right now. Just having a good time. Running around the crab.
You can pick up on this. You can pick up on it. I know you can. I believe in you. And blue team backs away as the dragon timer counts down to 40 seconds. They will pick up this red buff for Jinx, I believe, which will give a big advantage to her in whatever duels or fights they come across.
This is very true, and between the ADCs we haven't seen much coming out of that Lucian, but their farm difference right now is actually getting closer and closer, and he does have some pretty strong items right now, especially against a tanky team.
Zed is doing very well on the farm, and he ults onto Maokai, who gets headbutted into the middle of the enemy team, as we see Arhi ulting everywhere, and 2 kills go immediately to Zed, as Arhi is Zhonya's in the middle of lane and collapsed on as soon as it wears out. This will be a Baron for the red team.
I have to say, the positioning of the blue team was exactly what destroyed them there for so much. The Nautilus ultimate had there was nowhere for blue team to run. They were immediately just running out of their jungle entrance, and they had everyone lined up perfectly with no other path but to get hit, and it was really against their favor, and I think that's especially what lost them that fight. We're seeing the red team going for the Baron now. Rek'Sai pretty low on health, and Gragas roaming around, being spotted by the pink ward, but they're going to take it out very quickly here. And we see Jinx actually pushing down the mid lane as the only other person here, other than Gragas, out in the area. Very questionable, but she's going to try to get away here, but it's being spotted by the ward that's sitting next to the side. And we see the recall, but she knows there's trouble. Here we go for Zed.
As he gets a red buff also. And because the blue team did not take it earlier, this will be a Baron and a 3rd dragon for the blue team if Shyvanna does not steal it, which she will not, as she is headbutted away by the Alistar. Well, that wet noodle's really turned into more of a hammer at this point.
Very much so. It looks like he's going to be building into a Spirit Visage on Alistar for that next item. Has the No Magic Mantle and the Ruby Crystal for the Spectre's Cowl. And we've seen the Last Whisper being picked up by Zed. He's got mobility boots with Home Guard as well, and a QSS as well. Probably more than likely for that that Arhi charm if he does get hit. We've seen a lot of attempts to go in and try to assassinate someone, but then he always just teleports and jumps, flashes, does whatever is right into a charm immediately, and I think that's mainly the reason he'll be doing that. And we're likely to see the Skirmisher Saber, I mean not Skirmisher Saber, the Runic Scimitar on him as well in this case.
I will be right back, Jacob. I have to do something real quick. Just give me a moment.
All right. Well, we're seeing not really much activity going on here. Red team pushing on top lane right now with Rek'Sai and Lucian just trying to get what they can. They get the tower really easy, and I didn't even see the Alistar actually. I think I misworded that. Yeah, Alistar and Rek'Sai, not Lucian there. While we see in this process, we have Zed in the bot lane trying to push this tower down. Jinx comes to try and stop it, but he could easily assassinate her, even with the damage that she has right now. It would be a very close trade, but we're seeing top lane, a lot of activity going down. Shyvanna ulting onto the Nautilus and Rek'Sai. Gragas ultimate going down onto Nautilus, pushing him into the tower, and even without that alone, they had so much damage between the three of them to kill him very, very quickly.
I'm sorry about that. I'm back. Red team seems to be taking every advantage they can get while they still have this Baron buff pushing down onto 2 lanes.
The tanky destroyers here going under the tower, making it where Lucian has free reigns to kill anything he wants. Alistar going down in the process for the good cause. Triple kill for Lucian so far, and we're actually seeing Zed in the bot lane ulting onto the Jinx. QSS is immediately not hesitating to react at all.
Her health regen is insane at this point in the game. She is healing 72 health per attack.
We're seeing down at the Nexus turrets, Lucian's taking one down, Rek'Sai's still with him. We could see this possibly being the end of the game. They have 20 seconds until the other 2 are up. Jinx getting the choppers down very to Lucian's demise. That was very untimely and just poor positioning. He could have easily avoided that, but not today.
So that is both Nexus turrets down and the Nexus exposed for the blue team. Can't open the pineapple right now. I will wait.
A very successful use of all of that Baron damage and the tanking of the Baron minions all the way down to the Nexus and getting all those turrets. We'll have to see what blue team can do in response to this. They don't really have much global presence and or really any objectives to take at this point while the Dragon and Baron are down. So it's really just going to be a matter of team fights and if red team decides to even fight at all.
Blue team seems to be starting to roam as 5 for safety purposes, I would believe.
Once again, guys, I'm going to drop. Okay, Alistar getting hit with the charm. Jinx and Gragas being there. Jinx mainly being the huge amount of damage for them at this point. We're hearing the Rek'Sai roar go down. She's coming mid lane as Nautilus actually ults her. And her QSS is down. She actually it's still up. She didn't even need to use it. We're seeing Alistar very low on health as Maokai runs in with the fight with that ultimate, reducing all the damage for everyone. Rek'Sai's on the backline still trying to take down the carries, but no one's there to follow up anymore.
At the same time, we have Zed into the enemy base going for the back door on the Nexus. But they cannot, I do not think they will back in time.
This looks like it's going to be game, an insane team fight that would have gotten blue team an advantage. And we see the Zed taking the victory.
Red team taking the victory off a very unlikely way with the Zed backdoor X-Peke.
Oh wow, that was incredible. And looking back on the mini-map there, actually, he was pushing the minions and they still didn't respond to it. They were so coordinated and just focused tunnel vision that team fight that they didn't even realize it before it was way, way too late. A very good job by Ray Jones on Zed there. That was one hell of a play.